Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Number 3030.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everybody. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. Well, the more we learn about the situation involving Mayor Eric Adams, and I may get into this a little bit in a minute with Dominic Carter, and I'm certainly going to get into it in a big way with Jeffrey Lichtman coming up next hour. The more we learn about this situation involving Eric Adams, the worse it looks. And this goes far beyond the crimes that Eric Adams is charged with. New York Post reporting over the weekend, and this has been picked up by a number of other papers as well, that Mayor Adams' longtime girlfriend, Tracy Collins, a highly paid, quote, senior advisor in the City Department of Education, joined the mayor on $45,000 worth of ritzy trips. Now, that in and of itself isn't a big deal. You'd expect the mayor to bring with him his wife, or in this case, his girlfriend. But apparently, this is where I have a big problem. She hasn't shown up for work in nearly a year. This, according to complaints that were filed last week. Collins, who is a former teacher, principal, and administrator, who was, of course, promoted after Adams took office, is referred to as Adams' domestic partner in the 57-page federal indictment that was unsealed against the mayor last week. The Fort Lee, New Jersey resident went on Adams' trips to India, Hungary, Turkey, Jordan, Oman, Ghana since 2016, among other luxury trips. That's according to prosecutors who accused the mayor of accepting travel perks worth up to $123,000. Several months after Adams took office and named David Banks schools chancellor, who recently just got married to one of the deputy mayors. Find that suspicious? I kind of do. I'll ask Jeffrey Lichtman about that. Banks promoted Collins to senior advisor to the deputy chancellor of school leadership. Just think about that. So the mayor's handpicked guy is appointed as schools chancellor, and the person that the mayor picks say, of all the people that I can pick to be a senior advisor at a decent salary and where no one expects you to show up to work, I'll pick the mayor's girlfriend. Collins received a 23% raise to $221,597 a year. That's how much the mayor's girlfriend is making. On Friday, a former DOE employee filed complaints about Collins and her no-show job with DOE ethics officer Samantha Beletsky, the Conflicts of Interest Board, etc., all questioning if she reported the luxury perks as required. The employee also alleged that Collins has rarely appeared in the office since November of 2023, and her work calendar remained empty. $221,000 a year of your money.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a one-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor, or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com. The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Good morrow, everyone. This is The Other Side of Midnight on 77 WABC. I'm Frank Morano. I spent a fair amount of the weekend watching New York Mets baseball. And while they did manage to win on Sunday, I have to tell you, for the most part, it was very disconcerting. Friday night and Saturday, they lost to the Brewers and lost in terrible fashion, getting shut out on Saturday. A horrible, horrible display in both games. And the Brewers really aren't playing for anything. The Mets are playing for everything. I would have assumed they would have played their hearts out, and I'm not saying they didn't, but they would have had something more to show for it. And, of course, I bet on them and lost money. So there's that. That means today is the last day of the regular season. The Mets' magic number is 1, and they're playing the Atlanta Braves today. What does that mean? They're playing a doubleheader against the Braves because the geniuses over at Major League Baseball couldn't figure out that maybe, just maybe, there was going to be a storm coming through Georgia last week, and maybe they should have played a doubleheader the day before. But I railed about that on Denunciations on Friday. All the Mets have to do is win one game, and they will go to the playoffs. Now, if you've been a Met fan, as I have been, if you've been a Met fan for a day or for 62 years, you know that the Mets are masters of Shakespearean levels of tragedy. And you know that if you're a Met fan, you don't even need to watch the two games today. All the Mets have to do is win one of two games against the Braves. If history is any guide, I'm afraid that the Mets are going to lose both. Obviously, that's not my hope. I'm going to not bet on the game because I don't want any bad luck I might have to reflect on the New York Metropolitans. And I'm actually out of money because I bet on them Friday and Saturday. But I am not optimistic. Fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything I have crossed. But if you're a Met fan, you know this is coming to a tragic end, one way or another, whether it's today or later in the week. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong, but I fear that I won't be. I know Jeffrey Lichtman is a Met fan. I'm going to get his take on this and see if he has any more reason to be optimistic than I will. He's going to join me in about 20 minutes. We're going to talk about the situation involving Eric Adams. He's also representing P. Diddy's son, so we'll ask him about that case as well.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a troubling reality facing New York voters today. The U.S. Supreme Court just made a critical decision, and in my view, they made the wrong one. They refused an emergency appeal from Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s presidential campaign to have his name added to New York's ballot. The result? New York is now poised to be the only state in the entire country with just two candidates on the ballot, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. Now, some might say, what's the big deal? Kennedy suspended his campaign months ago and endorsed Trump. But that's missing the point. This isn't just about RFK Jr. This is about the right of New Yorkers to have more than two choices. Limiting the ballot to just two candidates, well, that feels only 50% better than what you'd find in North Korea or communist China. We're a democracy, folks. At least we're supposed to be. And democracy thrives on choice. New York's courts argued that Kennedy falsely claimed residency in New York, even though he's a California resident. They also said that adding him to the ballot would come too close to the election since tens of thousands of ballots have already been mailed out. And let's not forget, the state said voters could still write in his name. But let's be honest, write-in campaigns are not the same as seeing a candidate's name on the ballot where they belong. It's baffling that the Supreme Court wouldn't even take the time to comment on their decision. Not one justice spoke up for the right of New Yorkers to have an additional choice. Isn't it their job to protect our freedoms, including the right to have more options in who governs us? To put this in perspective, in every other state, voters will have at least 3 or more choices for president. But here in New York, one of the most politically diverse states in the country, we're being forced into a binary decision. That's not democracy. That's limiting democracy. For the Supreme Court to disregard this case, to prohibit RFK Jr. from being on the ballot, is a slap in the face to every New York voter who believes in choice, diversity of opinion, and the democratic process. Whether you support Kennedy, Trump, Harris, or someone else entirely, the principle remains the same. More choices makes for a healthier democracy. This isn't just about a name on a ballot. It's about the message we're sending. Are we okay with settling for a watered-down version of democracy? Are we willing to accept that? In one of the most important elections of our time, New York is going to have fewer choices than any other state. I think we deserve better than this. We deserve a system that doesn't limit our options or shut out candidates who, whether they're still campaigning or not, have something to offer to the political discourse. So whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, or an independent, whether you love RFK or can't stand them, let's stand up for the right to have him and others on the ballot, because that's what democracy looks like.
Beam me up.
To be continued.
We off? 30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes.
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox carefree.
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet.
You got it. You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz, spritz.
Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back.
Use as directed.
The Other Side of Midnight.
77 WABC.
Local Spotlight.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a moment to talk about Happy, the Bronx Zoo's famous Asian elephant who has finally made her long-awaited return to the public eye. If you're like me, you might have felt a knot in your stomach over these past weeks, wondering why Happy hadn't been seen. Was something wrong? Was the zoo hiding something? Thankfully, she's back, but her reappearance has brought more questions than answers. The first thing I felt when I saw that Happy had been spotted was relief, genuine, heartfelt relief. But that relief was quickly replaced by concern. According to the activist group, the Non-Human Rights Project, Happy's feet show, quote, significant damage, and they observed her lying down in her enclosure, something they claim is unusual for her. They've been monitoring Happy for years and say this is a new, troubling behavior. It's not just the fact that she was out of sight for almost 10 weeks. It's what they saw when she finally reappeared. The Bronx Zoo, however, insists there's nothing to worry about. They say Happy's behavior is perfectly normal, and the fact that she's lying down shows she feels secure and comfortable. They even assured us that her foot issues are being addressed with routine pedicures, which, by the way, is quite an image, isn't it? An elephant getting a pedicure in the Bronx. My goodness. But here's where I have mixed feelings. On the one hand, seeing Happy brings an immense smile to my face, and I'm going to be at the Bronx Zoo for the National Psoriasis Foundation walk in just a few weeks. There's something magical about her, something that just fills you with joy. I can only imagine the wonder a child feels seeing her for the first time. But on the other hand, the thought of Happy, or any animal for that matter, spending their life in captivity is something that has always gnawed at me. Isn't there something fundamentally wrong about this? I'm not here to bash zoos. They do important work. But when you hear the Non-Human Rights Project say that Happy's enclosure can't meet her physical or emotional needs, it makes you stop and think. Elephants are intelligent, social creatures. They even have funerals. They roam miles a day in the wild, not the confines of a man-made exhibit. The fact that Happy was out of sight for weeks without any clear explanation only adds to the suspicion that something might be amiss. We have to ask ourselves, are we really doing right by Happy? Or are we just content to keep her around because she brings us joy? The Bronx Zoo maintains that Happy chooses where she wants to be, but how much of a choice does she really have? The Non-Human Rights Project has been fighting for her freedom for years, and I'm not there yet, but with all their fights, here she is, still behind bars, so to speak.
Beam me up!
To be continued.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com.